don't know about you, but this Boston Red Sox team is certainly going to shave some years off my life after a tough loss in extra innings to the Cleveland Guardians on Tuesday.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby, former ESPN social media associate and the current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed for free. And honestly, I don't miss a single pitch of Red Sox baseball ever. I'm serious. Even if I'm doing something and I have to watch the game late, I literally will record it and watch it late. So if you're looking for somebody who can give you real emotion based on what happens in the game, I will give that to you because I am feeling whatever you're feeling. And if this Red Sox team is driving you absolutely nuts, it's definitely driving me nuts as well. So definitely check out Locked On Red Sox. Locked On is your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150, win or lose. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. Welcome to Locked On Red Sox, where the Red Sox have come off a very frustrating loss in extra innings to the Cleveland Guardians. They fell 10-7 in 11 innings on Tuesday. And this was a game that had a lot of promise and felt like it had a lot of momentum in the Red Sox favor. I mean, they came back from trailing and went ahead and then still found a way to lose. And I thought for a good portion of this game that they were going to win this game, especially after coming off such a frustrating day on Monday, on Patriots Day, where the offense was basically non-existent in a shutout loss. They then came back on Tuesday and recorded 11 hits and scored 7 runs. They also did make one error, but it's nothing compared to the 3 errors that they've made in some games prior. Triston Casas did make a pretty bad base running mistake early on in the game. He was on second with nobody out and tried to steal third. What are you doing trying to steal third with nobody out, especially if you're Triston Casas there, who's not the most fantastic base stealer in the world, doesn't have the best speed on the team? I would understand maybe if you're David Hamilton or you're Jarren Duran and you actually have that speed and you have a proven track record of being able to successfully steal bases more frequently, maybe you want to try to steal third there, but that got a little too greedy in that situation, especially because there was nobody out at the time. And you don't want to give away outs, especially for a team like the Red Sox, who does struggle to get things going offensively in some games. That was a situation where he should have stayed at second base. And that's another example of the little things that the Red Sox do to just beat themselves up and ruin opportunities for them. He should have stayed at second there. It starts to make you question the baseball IQ of this team. Just think, make the simple plays, do the simple things right. It's just the fundamentals of baseball that they're lacking right now, and it's caused them to lose quite a few games already so far. So that was definitely disappointing, especially because the Red Sox did have 3 hits in that inning but couldn't score a single run, and that's one of those ones where you want to take a look back on it and just wish Casas had stayed at second there, because he would have eventually scored in the inning and maybe things would have been different. Who knows? It's definitely just a little disappointing there. So that was something that was disappointing. Also on the pitching side, I mean, Joely Rodriguez, come on. I'm so over that experiment. He pitched 2 innings, gave up 4 hits and 3 runs, but 2 of them were earned, and struck out 3 and gave up a homer. I mean, I know that Cora didn't really have a choice because of the position he was put in at the time, but I hope the Red Sox organization realizes that Joely Rodriguez is not the answer. I think we've seen enough of him now to know that he can't be consistently competitive in this Red Sox bullpen. And with a team hoping to compete with guys who really are desperate to want to win games and prove people wrong this year, it's not fair that constantly we have to see Rodriguez get thrown out there, struggle, and then have the same conversation that he might not be the guy. I mean, he has a 4.91 ERA right now, which isn't terrible, but it's not great for a reliever. He hasn't given me enough to show that he could be the answer. And I hope the Red Sox realize that because they now have Brennan Bernardino up in the majors, who is also a lefty. He has a 1.69 ERA. He also pitched on Tuesday. He pitched 1 innings, gave up 0 earned runs, 2 walks, and recorded 2 strikeouts. So during that 1 inning, he made much more of an impact than Rodriguez did over the 2 that he pitched. So I'm hoping that maybe once Nick Pivetta comes back from the injured list, maybe Rodriguez is the one that gets the boot from the roster in that situation. So he was definitely frustrating. And just again, the Red Sox just coming so close yet so far. Some very good things that happened in the game on the offensive side, where they did get 3 home runs in the game. 1 from Triston Casas, 1 from Enmanuel Valdez, and 1 from Connor Wong. I mean, Connor Wong just continues to hit. He has a 355 batting average right now, 344 on base percentage, and 581 slugging. So that catching duo is really in a good spot right now. Both guys are being very productive at the plate, and I'm hoping that lasts. I'm hoping they don't fall back, but this is a good problem for the Red Sox to have with the catchers because the Red Sox catching situation was a huge question mark going into this year. Can these 2 guys perform? And Reese McGuire, as the backup catcher last year, definitely showed some semblance of being productive offensively, but was not doing what he's doing now. So the fact that both Reese and Connor are contributing at a high level on offense is a very good sign. And Triston Casas is just continuing to find his way. His batting average is up to a 258 with a 355 on base percentage and 530 slugging. I'm rooting for him. So much potential there, and he just crushed another baseball on Tuesday night. It was actually interesting because this one kind of barely got over the fence right next to the pesky pole, and Cleveland's outfielder actually tried to dive for the play, and he would have made an outstanding catch if he was able to get it, but it went into the stands. It was a home run for Triston, so that was nice. And Enmanuel Valdez, he smoked one, got a very good eye on it, and just took it deep. And Valdez, he has potential. I just wish he could do that more consistently. He definitely has a good eye for the plate, and he can figure things out offensively, I feel, and I see the potential there, but he just doesn't do it often enough. I'm just waiting to see more consistency from him, and his defense definitely needs to continue to grow, but it's hard to give up on him right now because it's still a pretty small sample size overall for him in terms of his overall time in the majors. So I think we should give him more of a shot to hopefully figure things out on both sides of the ball, because when he does something like crushing a home run is when you say, okay, yeah, he definitely has an eye for it. It's just how can he put it all together and execute more consistently. Rafael Devers also had a big hit, a double off the wall that drove in 2 runs and actually gave the Red Sox the lead in the game. He also took 2 walks. He's getting there. He's only at a 205 batting average right now with a 352 on base percentage and a 409 slugging. But the thing is, he did miss some games with a shoulder issue. So now that he's finally back, hopefully he can get back on track offensively and find his swing again, because I'm still expecting another big year from Devers. I mean, people sometimes forget how talented this guy truly is. So I'm hoping that he can continue to contribute offensively and be a key piece that the Red Sox need, because a healthy Devers in the heart of this lineup is a happy Red Sox fan base. So that was great too. Gave the Red Sox the lead. Somebody who was absolutely pitiful was Masataka Yoshida. Literally went 0 for 6 in the game. 215 average, 282 on base percentage, and 292 slugging. I really was hoping that him hitting that home run the other day, his first home run of the season, was going to get him back on track towards being a competitive hitter and being a big part of this team. But that has not been the case since then. He still has not performed offensively. And I feel badly for him because I think a lot of people have written him off. And especially with how bad his defense was last year, people realized, there's no point in having him in the outfield. But now that he's struggling offensively too, people are talking about that contract not looking good for the Red Sox. So he really needs to figure things out soon, figure out how to live and breathe on more than just the fastball, because he literally is a fastball hitter right now. And it drives me nuts when he gets out there and he has these weak pop-ups or weak grounders. It's tough to watch. I'm hoping he can figure it out. But overall, a pretty good offensive performance for the Red Sox on Tuesday. They showed resilience. They stayed in the game. They tied it up again against a very good Guardians closer in Clase in the 10th inning when Connor Wong hit a sacrifice fly and drove in a run. It got the job done, and then they fell apart in the 11th due to Josh Winckowski pitching 1 inning, giving up 2 hits and 2 earned runs. He also walked 2 and struck out 1, but it was tough because that was one of the worst performances that we've seen from him across the board over the last couple seasons. 4.63 ERA right now. I was really hoping that the Red Sox were going to hang on and win this one, but once he gave up those runs and it was 10-7 after the top of the 11th inning, I said, yeah, this game is over. The Red Sox likely aren't scoring again. So there's definitely lots of pros and lots of cons to a game like this, but obviously the ultimate con is that the Red Sox did end up losing the game. And coming up, I'm going to be talking about somebody who also played a part in that loss and something we don't see very often. If you're looking for a fun way to play daily fantasy sports, PrizePicks is absolutely the place for you. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. It is the easiest and most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats and watch the winnings roll in. Spring training is over and baseball season is officially underway. Don't miss your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond in your PrizePicks entries. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, take your pick of more or less and add them to your PrizePicks entry today. Get in on the playoff action and win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks as you and the world's best players take the game to a new level during basketball's postseason. Officially is here. The play-in has started. 2 great basketball games last night with more basketball being played tonight, so you won't want to miss out on that. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's a first deposit match up to $100 with code LOCKEDONMLB. It's really too good of an opportunity to pass up on, so you absolutely should consider it today. I've been told I'm a competitive person, and a lot of people around me say that's true. I mean, I do have a competitive side. Everyone does. And my competitive side is a big fan of Monopoly Go. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's been downloaded over 150 million times. It's a great twist on Monopoly where you play on not one, but hundreds of Monopoly boards in crazy locations, building up amazing cities that bring you big money. But the best part is messing with my friends. I can charge them rent on my iconic properties, just like classic Monopoly, but now I can also rob their vaults of riches for myself. And the leaderboards show me who the biggest Monopoly tycoon is. But it's not just my competitive side that loves it. You can team up with friends and people all around the world in timed tournaments to earn huge rewards. So get in the game and join your friends. Download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store or Google Play. It's so much fun, and I'm a big games person, so check out Monopoly Go. Today's the day, Locked On listeners. It is Locked On NFL's mock draft live at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, streaming on the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channel's app. Find the ultimate 6-episode series on April 17th at 7 o'clock Eastern Time to hear who the local Locked On experts are picking for every NFL franchise, with live reactions from college football experts and even the fantasy football angle. The Locked On NFL mock draft tonight at 7 ET, streaming live on Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channel's app. I promise you absolutely will not want to miss that either, so check it out today. The Boston Red Sox took a 10-7 extra innings loss against the Cleveland Guardians on Tuesday night. And after coming off of a very frustrating game on Patriots Day, I was really hoping the Red Sox would turn around and win this game. And they showed a lot of competitiveness in this game, coming back from trailing, going ahead in the game, and then going behind again and then tying it against a very good closer. Gave me a lot of promise. And then, of course, they fell apart and crumbled. And one person who did contribute to the loss is Kenley Jansen. This was actually his first blown save of the year. Right now, he has a 1.59 ERA over 6 games that he's pitched in. He's earned 4 saves over 5.2 innings pitched. He's also recorded 9 strikeouts. And the weird thing is, you would never know based on watching him pitch this season that he hadn't blown a save until Tuesday. Usually Kenley gives us a roller coaster when he's pitching, usually gives up a base runner or two, struggles to get out of it, but every single time has delivered and has come through to get out of the inning. And most of the time, close out the game. So Kenley coming into the game when he did made me a little bit nervous, but it is the logical progression because you had Chris Martin pitch in the game too. So typically it goes from Martin to Jansen, which is exactly what happened here. And so I wasn't surprised that they brought him in the 9th inning. I mean, he is the closer, but he gave up 3 hits and 1 earned run. And his command, to be honest with you, has been off for a good portion of this season. I mean, he hasn't always been able to find the zone. He's been averaging about 92 to 93 miles an hour, which is slower than people have been used to seeing him throw in the past. So I'm, for one, concerned about his ability to maintain this level of competitiveness. Our opposing hitter is going to be able to start figuring him out because his pitches have gotten slower. He's struggling a little bit, and somebody cracked the code, and he blew his save. He's one of the best closers of all time, and he's a no doubt Hall of Famer, but he is starting to get to the point in his career now where he's deteriorating. And I just feel like the Red Sox are really playing with fire by relying on him to still be the closer for this Red Sox team. And I get right now he is the choice and he is the option. And for the most part, he has been getting it done. But would you really trust him in a playoff game if by chance the Red Sox do make the playoffs and you need somebody to nail it down against a very competitive offense? I could see that being a struggle for him. So right now, the Red Sox have to continue to watch Kenley, figure out where he fits in on this team. Do they think that he can sustain this level of competitiveness moving forward for the rest of the season? Or is it at the point now where they need to start to reevaluate the situation and say, okay, could we try to trade him for some assets? And at this point, his value is going to be a little bit lower because teams can see that he's not the easiest person to have out on the mound when it comes to looking for a smooth sailing closing of the game. And teams might be worried about that and worried about his velocity and his command. He's had to take a lot of time this season overall in his outings where he's had to refocus himself because he doesn't have that control. So teams are going to see that, and it'll be harder for the Red Sox to find a match to trade him. So they kind of missed the window to trade him. But what they could be doing is, if they're trying to think about the future and moving it forward, if they continue to lose games or they're not able to figure it out at home, which is still incredibly frustrating, then what they could do is they could try to experiment a little bit with throwing somebody else in the closing role and seeing how that goes, because the Red Sox would only be benefiting themselves by at least seeing if somebody else can handle closing out games, because then if somebody else goes into that role and is able to shut it down in the ninth inning, then that's somebody that they could continue to work with to maybe eventually transition into that closer role once Kenley can no longer be in that spot. Because the Red Sox eventually are going to need to think about the future. Even if Kenley is the closer for the rest of this year, what if this is his last year and he hangs it up, or the Red Sox say, we don't want to bring him back? Then they're either looking for a new closer that they have to trade for or hoping for somebody on the free agent market to pan out, or they make somebody internally a closer. And it seems like the Red Sox have done a lot of work to develop some prospects and really hone in on the core pieces of the team for the future. So if they're going to do that with a lot of the position players, why not start to think about it with the pitchers? And I'm not trying to knock too much on Kenley. I mean, he's a very good pitcher, and he still, like I said, for the most part, gets the job done. So they can take their chances with him the rest of the season. He is the one they trust in that spot, and he's the only one on the roster that I trust to close games right now, because it is scary to put somebody brand new in there. So even if he generally gets the job done, I don't think this roller coaster is ever going to get fixed. I think that's just the type of pitcher he is now, and we have to just start to get used to the fact that there might be some stressful days with Kenley Jansen pitching, but they do need to start thinking about what is next year going to look like if there is no Kenley in the picture, because we've seen how the Red Sox are when they don't have a closer and they're just rotating different players into that role. Being a closer is extremely difficult, and it takes a really special type of pitcher, which is why Kenley's so good and so well respected across the league, because he's just been so good throughout his career at what he does. But they do need to start thinking about how it is possible that this is the last year with Kenley Jansen. So after that, who closes games? So that's more of a longer term thing to think about. But overall with Kenley, first blown save of the year, definitely did not have his command all there. I knew it was only a matter of time before that did happen, because he has struggled already this year and he's given up quite a few base runners overall in his outings. So I knew that all of that was going to eventually pile up and lead to him eventually blowing a save, but we weren't sure exactly when that was going to be. So it happened, time for him to brush it off and move on to the next outing. But I am curious to see how he bounces back from this. And I do think that we should expect some type of this performance generally moving forward, not so much giving up runs and blowing saves, but not really having his full command of the strike zone and giving up base runners, because that just seems to be the Kenley Jansen of today. But at the end of the day, as long as whoever's out there is getting the job done, that's what really matters. And coming up, I'm going to be talking about someone who truly has gotten the job done a lot this year, but there could be cause for concern for him now. So stay tuned. Are you looking to get into sports betting, or are you already super into it and want to just win more money while doing it? Whatever your situation may be, FanDuel has you covered. It's playoff time in the NBA and NHL, baseball's in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150, win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. What are you waiting for? Visit fanduel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. You won't be disappointed in FanDuel. My fiance can speak firsthand. He's won a lot of money on it. So head to FanDuel today if you're trying to win more earnings as well. Also, you should check out Locked On Sports today, as we as a network have launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. This is so exciting for Locked On as a network because nobody else has this. So if you're looking for a free streaming service to stay caught up in everything going on in sports, Locked On Sports Today has you covered. The Boston Red Sox, in a frustrating 10-7 extra innings loss versus the Cleveland Guardians, also experienced some frustration with their starter, Garrett Whitlock. He only pitched 4 innings, giving up 3 hits and 2 earned runs. He also walked 1 batter and struck out 1. His ERA is now at a 1.96. He's had a very good start to the season in this Red Sox rotation, and he's been putting up impressive stats on that stat sheet. But he did leave the Red Sox game after only pitching 54 pitches due to left oblique tightness. And when he first left the game, nobody was sure why he left. And then Joely Rodriguez warmed up and came in, and obviously things started to go downhill from there. But the Red Sox definitely did not go into this game only wanting Garrett Whitlock to pitch 4 innings. They've expressed multiple times that their goal is to get all of the starters to go at least 5 innings a start. So I'm sure that definitely was the goal for him going into this outing. But unfortunately, pitched 4 innings and then had to exit the game with left oblique tightness. We don't know yet an update on where he's at and when he's going to be able to throw again, if it's going to be an IL stint or what the situation is there. We're still waiting for more information on that. But the Red Sox absolutely cannot afford to lose another player to injury. I mean, there's just been so many injuries already this year, especially with Nick Pivetta on the IL and Lucas Giolito missing the entirety of the season. Going down another starter would just be so not ideal for this Red Sox team. And I don't know what it is to start this season, but for whatever reason, the Red Sox seem absolutely cursed with injuries right now. Just player after player going down in some capacity. And as it is, Rafael Devers has been having some issues too. I mean, he was experiencing some soreness late in Tuesday's game, had to be pulled, and Bobby Dahlbeck went into the game. And it's like, what is going on with this team with the injuries? I mean, obviously what happened with Trevor Story was very tough to see, and he hopefully is able to recover smoothly and get back to playing baseball next year. But I mean, my gosh, like, this team is just experiencing injury after injury. And Garrett Whitlock, maybe it won't be anything too serious. Maybe he'll be able to make his next start and he just needs to rest and he just pulled something or there was just something bothering him. We won't really know till a further report comes out on it. But I think with Whitlock, he has to show that he can stay healthy. I mean, he's dealt with some injuries throughout his time in Boston as well. And if he's able to come back and pitch the way that the Red Sox want him to pitch, that would be ideal. I mean, it's just definitely tough to see a pitcher like him potentially go on the IL, especially with how good of a season he's having so far. I mean, again, this goes back to the fact that the Red Sox starters in general have had a very, very solid start to the season. And I don't want that to be ruined because more players have to go to the IL. And then the Red Sox are just in this place of having to use guys from AAA in the rotation and then ruining that effect of how dominant these guys have been. But it's obviously not the players' fault. We just can hope for the best. So with Garrett Whitlock, we'll see what happens there. But it definitely was not ideal that he got pulled from the game when he did, because the Red Sox might have won this game if he was able to pitch another inning or two, because we might have been saved from Joely Rodriguez had he kept pitching in this game. Nobody will know. It's something that just will go into the unknown world. But it would have been nice to see him stay out there because he was dominating and he was looking very good. He had good command. He was throwing a good selection of pitches, and it was just tough to see him exit the way he did. So obviously we have to just hope for the best from him, that he can come back sooner rather than later, hopefully not have to miss any starts. And if he does miss starts, hopefully it's just one or two, and then he can come back and be better than ever. But this team cannot afford to lose any more pitchers to injury right now. They are just really on thin ice when it comes to pitching depth in general. So it's just really crucial that they stay healthy. But hopefully they are able to do just that. And honestly, now that the best they can do is pull out a split in this series against Cleveland, let's just hope they're able to do that, because this team seriously needs to figure things out at home. And honestly, they couldn't get back on the road soon enough. They played a lot better on the road than they have been at home. So this homestand is almost over. Then they do go on another road trip to face the Pirates, who have been playing very well to start the season, kind of like they did last year. And then they see this Guardians team again on the road. So at least they're getting both series with Cleveland over with early on in the season. The Guardians are a very good team. Definitely should be a playoff team this year, but the Red Sox just need to find ways to win games. And in a game like Tuesday nights, it really felt like the type of game that they should have and could have won. So hopefully they're able to pull out the split here over the next couple days, and then they can go back on the road and get back on track. But as always, let's go Red Sox. Keep the faith, and I will catch you on the flip side.